We have finally gotten to it. The first ever real-life crossroads between neighbors, between fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, friends, dogs and cats, Montagues and Capulets. We are finally at the crossroads. The New York Yankees need the New York Mets. Good afternoon, Evan. How are you today, kid?
Are you going to say it? Are you going to say it?
I'm not sure if I'm going to say it.
I'll help you.
I know what you want me to say.
I'll help you if you need the help. It's simply Yankee fans for Metsies.
So the Mets have 2 games against the Boston Red Sox. Marcus Stroman's pitching the first one tonight. The Yankees hung on late last night and won 4-3. Toronto lost to Tampa in a thrilling ninth inning, actually. Up 6-2, give up a 2-run home run, bases loaded, 2 outs, and they win the game. Tampa does.
Were you watching that game? I'm proud
on my
of you.
phone I was.
Look at that.
I was interested, yes.
That is the beauty of pennant race baseball. In no world would Craig Carton ever watch Blue Jays Rays, but because of this fun, wholesome pennant race, you're glued to some guy named Dietrich Ennis trying to get Braylick Valera out with bases loaded, 2 out.
Dude, it's why wild card's good for the sport, because it keeps you alive like that. And as a fan, I had an interest in that game. Yankees got the job done first, and like 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, Tampa finally closed out Toronto after a thrilling ninth inning. But here we are. They're a game out of the loss column of the second wild card spot, and they're obviously still alive for the number 1 wild card spot. The New York Mets are now in the picture. The New York Mets, in a plodding, pathetic, boring, we suck kind of way, have now entered the picture of relevant baseball. I've talked to a lot of Met fans throughout the day today. You and I have both talked to a lot of Met fans, and you are a diehard Met fan. If you are a Met fan, here's the position you are in. Your season is over. You have 2 games, so it's not the end-all, but very, very important. Would you like to see the New York Mets roll over and play dead because it negatively impacts the Yankees? Or as a Met fan, can you not bring yourself to root for your franchise to lose? Even though winning helps the Yankees, losing hurts the Yankees. And the flip side of that, you are a diehard, proud Yankee fan. Do you have it in you to ask? Will you look at your neighbor right across the way, who you know is a Met fan, and let them know we're pulling for you?
We need you.
We need you tonight and tomorrow night. Will you even ask that Met fan to say a little prayer for good luck? Now, my belief is that the majority of Met fans alive today would like to see the Boston Red Sox beat the Mets in thrilling, agonizing, edge-of-your-seat fashion that makes Yankee fans want to break something.
You think that's the majority of Met fans?
Yes, I do.
You think the majority of Met fans will spend the next 2 nights rooting against their team?
Not just rooting against their team, Evan. I think the majority of Met fans would like the Mets to be up 9-0 after 2 innings and blow the lead.
Wait a second. So Mets fans want Yankee fans to experience Edwin Diaz. We want you to feel what it's like.
I was on the streets of New York City today with Evan, and that's what I'm hearing. That's the way I feel.
Well, first of all,
the question is, what do you want?
First of all, before we get to me, let's address the Yankee fan. Let's address you. Let's address Big Mac. There is no debate, okay? This isn't difficult. This isn't a back and forth. For you, it's easy. You need our help, and that's okay. A few weeks ago, it was probably about a month ago, I said to you, I need you, Yankees. Beat the Philadelphia Phillies for me. Beat the Atlanta Braves for me. And that was much earlier in this pennant race. And I've always heard in the past, like, interleague play is not new. So when the Mets would play the Red Sox in April or May, and I would ask the question, some Yankee fans would say, well, I don't need your help. I just don't. It's early in the season. We'll be fine. We're at a point in the season in which you can't have that arrogance. You're 2 games behind the Boston Red Sox. While you could sweep them potentially over the weekend, you don't want to be in a position where you have to sweep them. You want to go into that series tied with them. You want to go in that series a game back. So you can't have that arrogance you used to have. So if you're a Yankee fan, Craig, there's no debate.
You
need
want the
us.
Mets to win
Of
because
course.
if the Mets win these next 2 games and the Yankees win 2 games or the next game, right? Because then what are they off on Thursday? They're both off on
they
Thursday.
both have 2 more games
Right.
before the off day
So
Thursday.
Yankees win there 2, Mets win there
You're
2.
tied.
The New York Yankees are tied for the number 1 wild card spot. Forget about the second wild card spot. So thus the crossroads we are at. The proud Yankee franchise is in a position today that they have never been in before. Because typically come September, they've got a spot locked up.
Well, typically the Yankees have a spot locked up, and typically you don't have interleague matchups like this late in the year. So you've got this perfect storm of Yankees are in a legitimate pennant race, and the schedule makers gave us Yankees Red Sox or Mets Red Sox on September 21st.
Yep, it's awesome. So now I'm looking at a Yankee fan right in front of me. So let's just start the party now. You want to join the party? Come on in. 877-337-6666. I don't care what side of the coin you're on. I don't care if you're a Met fan. I don't care if you're a Yankee fan. You've got an opinion on this. The Mets, now listen, the Mets can't guarantee a W, obviously. They're a below 500 team. But they do have arguably their most consistent pitcher all year long on the mound tonight in Marcus Stroman. If they're going to win, he's the guy that should bring them a W more than anybody else that I would line up on the mound for them because DeGrom's out, obviously, right? Are you willing to ask for the help? Are you willing to let Met fans know you're rooting for them tonight? And Met fans, where are you at?
Well, Craig, that's the one that's tricky. The Yankee, dude, seriously, if you're a self-respecting Yankee fan, how could you let your blind hatred for the Mets affect you? It's about you.
It happens.
I always say this as a fan of teams and a guy who dislikes certain teams in this town. I'll never be too proud to beg or ask for help. Like if the Knicks, you know my feelings towards the Knicks, if they could help me get a better seed in the Eastern Conference,
Then take it.
I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to root for the New York Knicks. So for the Yankee fan, who the hell are you to say, nah, I can't root for the Mets?
Well,
come on.
we're going to find out right now.
The Met one is, I will admit this though, Craig, and I have talked to many a Met fan, including my dad, lifelong diehard Met fan and card-carrying Yankee hater.
When the Yankees won the pennant in 78, Evan Roberts...
76.
Was it 76?
Yes.
Evan Roberts' father left the country because he didn't want to deal with Yankee fans. That is not a made-up story.
True story.
That is the level of dislike he has for the Yankees and love he has for the New York Mets. So, you asked your father. Your father said what in regards to the Mets' next 2 games against the Red Sox?
He said, look, I'll never root against the Mets, but I don't mind if we lose tonight and tomorrow. I don't mind it.
All right.
Not gonna lose any sleep over it.
See, and I think that's the majority of Met fan. I think the Met fan wants them to lose the next 2 because they want to go to work the next day, see their buddies who they know are diehard Yankee fans, and say, sorry, sorry about that. We're not helping you guys try to get to your 28th title. We're not going to do it. We're going to stand in the way of it to the best of our ability. Now, you're a diehard Yankee fan. I'll go to Big Mac on this.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to look Evan in the eye and say, Dada?
I don't know about that. I will say I have no pride nor arrogance, and I will gladly say, Yankees fans for Metsies.
Wow.
And
right
this is-
out of the
Oh, there is no
gates.
problem.
And what I
It is easy.
And what I respect
And
about
I will
Big,
say, as I say thank you, I will also say you're welcome, because the only way you're relevant after Labor Day is to block
you
the
know,
Yankees.
gotta
So, there
take
you
a
go.
shot.
So it's a thank you and a you're welcome in the same.
And this,
Okay.
this is
All
a
right.
guy who in the past, when I've brought up interleague matchups where the Mets could help the Yankees in April, May,
Sure.
June, July, has always had this arrogant, we don't need your help.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see Big Mac having a change of view. I like it.
Yeah,
It's
I
been an
know-
interesting season. I've had many of views up and down this entire year,
Listen.
and right now it is. Please help.
There's also a lot of Met fans that we've talked to throughout the day today that feel like, in typical Met fashion, they'll win these 2 games. When it doesn't mean anything for them, watch them go out there and Stroman's going to be allowed to pitch through 7 or 8 innings tonight, and Rojas ain't going to take him out. So there is that feeling of, when you're a Met fan, I think it's like Murphy's Law, kind of. Whatever could go wrong will go wrong. When you needed the W's to stay alive, and the rest of the division was kind of tanking, and had you won your games in late August, all of a sudden you might have gotten back in it and been a wild card team or better, win the division. That now that you're out of it, this would be the perfect time, a very Met-esque, for the New York Mets to come through with back-to-back W's against the Boston Red Sox. I'm fascinated by it because it transcends sports. Now it's humanity. It's relationships.
Right.
This is the beauty of sports that right now, this debate is raging on inside every Met fan alive, and it's attacking, or I think revealing, the level of arrogance that Yankee fans have had for so long. You need your little brother's help. Are you going to bend down and ask for it? And if you're that little redheaded stepchild brother, which the Mets have been since their existence here
Not
in
a
New
fan
York,
of that analogy, but
fair
okay.
enough.
Okay.
You're in a spot to say, all right, fine, we're New Yorkers at the end of the day. We got your back. But you don't want to have their back.
We're in a win-win spot, Met fans. I'll tell you why. All right? In relation to dealing with your friends who are Yankee fans. If the Mets win the next 2 days, we can arrogantly say, you're welcome. You needed a little brother,
right?
We helped you out. Now, if the Mets lose the next 2 days, you can laugh at them and say, sorry, we tried. So the Met fan is in a much better spot. I'll tell you how I feel. Do you know how I feel?
My gut is that you can't root for your team to lose. So while you may not get any joy out of being able to say to the Yankee fan, you're welcome, I don't think you're going to root for your team to lose.
You're spot on. I cannot sit here in good conscience.
It's not in your DNA.
It's just not. Like, I've seen when it comes to draft picks like the Jets last year, even the Nets years ago at the lottery, where, hey, it benefits you to lose. But I have a very difficult time doing it. Last year with the Jets was the first time I ever moved into a place where I knew losing was better. And you're going to make fun of me for saying this, but I really need to be honest with you. They don't have an X next to their name that says they've been eliminated. That doesn't exist.
Okay.
And so while the Mets are 7 games back in the loss column for the National League East, what have we always said? If they can get to 3 going into the final weekend of the year, they've got a shot. So really, the Mets are 4 games back. So it's tough, even though it's unlikely and it's not going to happen, and I'm not believing in it, to ever root against my team before it's really, really over. Because it's not really, really
we'll
over.
get your take on it. 877-337-6666. We got a lot of stuff to do today, but that'll be a theme throughout because it's Hatfields and McCoys, man. That's what it is. It is 2 franchises, no love lost for one another. Subway Series always brings out the best in both. And now here we are in a very unique spot that I don't know we've ever been in baseball history before in this town.
We haven't for 2 reasons. Again, and I've mentioned this to you a lot because I'm fascinated by it, I have to be honest. In my lifetime, we have rarely seen the Yankees in a true pennant race. And I'm talking about a real pennant race. You know, they were in a pennant race in 2005, but it didn't matter. It was for the American League East. In fact, the Yankees finished tied for the American League East in 2005. The reason you don't remember, the reason most people don't remember, is because there was one wild card spot. Both teams got the wild card, and it didn't matter who was the winner of the division and the wild card. They sort of collapsed in 2000, if you recall. They lost 15 out of their last 17, but no one ever felt that was a real pennant race. So the Yankees haven't had a true blue. I'm schedule watching. My playoffs are on the line. It's touch and go every day. They haven't had a real pennant race, and then you throw that in with the schedule makers giving us Mets, Red Sox in September. It's true. Like, we really haven't seen anything like this in our lifetime.
Well, we're in the middle of it right now. We'll take your calls on it. We got a bunch of football to get to. Of course, Jets and Giants. Last night's Monday night game. Some of the Peyton and Eli stuff from the broadcast as well. And a whole lot of stuff in between, including what might become, I think, the single biggest sports scandal of all time. It's brewing right now, and we're going to have to see how it plays its ugly head out. And it intimately affects the locals more than any other franchises in the world. We'll explain what we're talking about coming up on that in a bit.